about speaking up and how it can help in transforming lives. Okay, so over to you, Jayanti. Just let me just press the share button so that I can. Okay, is that coming onto your screen?
Yes, fine. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay, and it's just the main slide, yeah, not the PowerPoint by the slide.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Thank you,
okay.
Salim. And thank you for the BAME network, Raj, and everyone involved who has given me this opportunity and platform to speak up and share my story, but also to empower everyone within the times we are and why it's important to speak up. So I hope that's going to be helpful to you. It's my lived journey. So I'm hoping to share it at the end if you've got any questions or things like that. So it's very much about why leadership is important and how it helps in transforming the lives and preventing the harm, not only to the individuals, but also to the organizations, as well as to the society at large. Thank you. We can go to the next slide.
Just bear with me. Technology.
So before I start the presentation, it's very important to acknowledge the people who have supported me. It's very easy for me to sit here and talk in front of you. But if these people were not there, or the individuals and the organizations and the leaders who have not supported me, I wouldn't be here talking today. Okay, so the first one is a CSP BAME network. I literally mean it. I think they have really tremendously helped me in a very challenging time, not only supported me, but also given me the opportunity to attend some of their tribunal sessions, which were going across the country. And also, I was managed to speak to the exec team as well as take it higher up to raise the concern, but also to challenge some of the beliefs and behaviors of the leaders, which was accepted as a norm. NIHR Academy, Department of Health and Social Care. I was doing my NIHR fellowship at that time, so they were the instrumental in supporting me and helping me completing my fellowship. University of York and trial units, they have helped me to be successful in the fellowship. Keele University and Keele Trials Unit, who have helped me in supporting and completing the fellowship. Chief AHP office and the colleagues, including the Chief AHP at the NHS England. NHS Picking Up Support Scheme teams, which is from the NHS England, and all the supervisor, mentors, colleague, leaders, and many more who I cannot name it for various reasons, including admin team, reception, family, and friends who have been important in this journey. Next slide. Just to let you know that this is my lived experience, and it is presented on behalf of the CSP BAME network to the CSP members. I have my own biases and experiences. This is not something I'm expert into, but it's just lived experiences, and I'm expert by lived experience. This does not represent the views of any organizations. It is my own views or any individuals. Thank you. Next slide. Little bit about myself. So I've completed my Bachelor of Physiotherapy and MSc in Advanced Practice from University of East London, did a couple of postgraduate certificate courses, have about 20 years plus experience postgraduate, and worked in a variety of health settings, including NHS, private, and been on an international and national platform, completed 2 international fellowships, NIHR internship, NIHR predoctoral clinical academic fellowship, and have been ESV for almost a decade in the NHS before I left the NHS. I've also been in the leadership roles in the professional network, but also at the NHS England. I was a deputy chair, inaugural deputy chair of the BME Strategic Advisor Group at NHS England for the chief AHP. Next slide. So just to let you all know that I'm not the only one who has spoken up, and it's not happened first time. People have been speaking up over the period of time, if we take it from the history of NHS for a long, long time. The problem remains the same. It is not just the specific to a profession. I think it is across the spectrum, across every profession. And there has been a high profile landmark tribunal cases. There has been a high profile, I think, NHS England has been scrutinized, and high profile cases has been in the public domain. Most of them you can see. There are some resources which I really found very useful. The books which I think some of them I have given. One of them is A Whistle in the Wind. It is written by one of the surgeon, Mr. Peter Duffy. His journey and how NHS organization weaponizes things when you speak up. Other books are also there, NHS Dirty Secrets, but I think Whistle in the Wind was very, very beneficial. There was landmark case, I think, in 2022-23 of Michelle Cox, senior NHS nursing leader. And I think her tribunal case, when I read, I think that was very, very powerful. And I think it made sense what I was going through personally because I could relate it to everything. And she has beautifully described the background, the context, and how racism exists in the system, or how discrimination, or what happens when you speak up. So I think these are the very important resources for you if you want to speak up or if you want to know more about it. Next slide. And then obviously there are other things coming up, which is coming from the medical colleague. It is surviving in the scrub. So it's more about the misogyny, sexism, and how women are treated in the healthcare. And obviously, we had two hot to handle BRAP report last year, as well as I have published my lessons to be learned workplace equality in the CSP frontline. So those of you who have not read it, you have opportunity, and these are your resources to go to if you want to speak up, or if you want to understand, or if you just want to know what's going in the healthcare and how you can protect yourself and how you can make sure that you are part of the transforming journey. Next slide. So what we all are doing, we all give interview, and in interview the first thing I think most of the managers or the interviewers will ask you is that what are the NHS core values. And the first principle is that of the NHS constitution is that it provides a comprehensive service available to all. It is available to all, irrespective of the race, gender, disability, age, sexual orientation, religion, belief, gender reassignment, pregnancy, and maternity or marital or civil partnership status. And the very basic fundamental of the NHS constitution gets challenged on a daily basis within the healthcare. So this is why it's very important to highlight this and speak up anything which goes against it. Next slide. So what is speaking up? So speaking up is basically, it's part of the NHS scheme. It aims to ensure everyone working within the NHS feels safe and confident to speak up. And they encourage NHS leaders to take the opportunity to learn and improve from those who speak up. Next slide. It also seeks to improve the quality of speaking up arrangement across the NHS in a number of ways. And one of the ways was they have started a speaking up scheme. So, for example, what used to happen is that if people who are speaking up, they used to be so traumatized that they used to leave the NHS. While they are speaking up or after speaking up, there was no support, there was no space for them to speak what happened and how to heal and how to repair the damage which has happened to them, or the relationship, or the departmental working relationships. So this is a scheme. I was part of this scheme. It's a very what to say, comprehensive arrangement which is done. It's free of cost. You have to apply for it, and the only eligibility criteria is that you have spoken up and you have suffered after speaking up. Okay, next slide. So the presentation mainly focuses on the challenges which I have experienced after the speaking up in the NHS. So the first part will cover that. It's more about the stories and case studies, and basically what comes as a personal cost when you challenge a systemic harm, and the strength it takes to lead the courage.
Yeah.
Sorry, the second part is more about the healing journey. It's about how to move from emotional turmoil to psychological integration, because what you're going through is a daily basis trauma for a very long time. So it's reclaiming your voice and rebuilding your professional identity with integrity. So this is more about not only just the survival, but beyond the survival, how to lead the changes and transform and create a safer system for everyone. Next slide. So as I said, speaking up, why I had to speak up in first place. The main concern was patient safety. I did not feel that what was happening in that particular environment was safe for the patient. And that was a first concern. Of course, there was other concern, like there was to end the unfair recruitment practices, which was happening for a very, very long time. And I'm talking about a specific scenarios where it was 8B roles advertised a couple of times without appropriate process in the place. But also there was inequality in training and education, which meant that people of certain background were not getting information or equitable education and training, which was again putting the patient safety at risk. And the last and the most important thing was that on a daily basis, workplace violence, racism, microaggression, whatever you want to name it, bullying or harassment, I think it was happening on a daily basis, and it impacted so much that I could not take it up. I was left with a no choice. Okay, next slide. So over a period of time, I think over 10 years, I observed certain things. And at that time, I felt there's a problem with the way I speak, the way I present myself. I always put it to myself. I didn't realize that it is a system which is against me. So what I observed was there were little things which I was missing. And they were like most important emails in the department. I'll be not there in that, but everybody else would know. I'm not being invited to important meetings. If I say something in the meetings, I'm being silenced. Not being told about the jobs that's going to be advertised or even going via expression of interest, while others may have all the knowledge and some of them will be prepared and trained for. So I thought, okay, maybe I had a blinkers on. Maybe I didn't face that ugly truth. Maybe I'm different, or whatever. I'm not competent enough, or I'm not good enough for the system. But then as you go higher and higher, you could see that it is getting more targeted towards you, and that was impossible to ignore. So that this was institutional racism and just snowballed, and I was left with no other choice to put my concerns in the writing. So I've written to all the leaders within the organizations, including the managers, directors, execs, and things didn't work. I went to ICB as well. If that didn't work, I went to ICB-AHP, then Chief AHP, then vice chancellors of the universities, and I'll get back to you why I had to go there. Then also I went to Chief AHP's office, then I went to CSP exec, NIHR leadership, and finally I went to Department of Health and Social Care. And that's where somebody has listened to me, and it took almost 2 years' time. Okay, so you can imagine the journey and how long I have been in that process and why it happened, because the things were deliberately delayed. There has been a lot of delaying tactics, and there has been some serious leadership issues. So when I reported to Department of Health and Social Care, after that when I received the response from them, I was very happy. I left the job because I didn't feel I need to be treated like that. I think at that time, the important thing for me was that to report to somebody higher enough to say that there's a problem. It wasn't doing anything more than that. And I'll tell you why. Because I have been in the profession for 20 years. Physiotherapy was my dream job. I trained myself to 20 years to come to a competent position of advanced practitioner. I was enjoying my job, but the environment, the colleagues, the leadership I saw, I was not very happy. And I was thinking, if this is going to be my career for next 20 years, I really need to think. So I was in a position and I had that experience. I thought, okay, worst could happen is that, okay, I'll have to leave the country or find some other job. And I was happy for a career change as well, because I was in a research. I had a couple of other skills as well. I have worked in a retail, I have worked in a real estate. So I had those skills. So I was not really so concerned about that physiotherapy. Yes, financially it has affected me a lot. but I was in an okay position. So I think the reason why I'm telling you is that it's not for everyone. So somebody joining and somebody is in a 21-year-old, the advice will be very different, which I give. And somebody who is in the retirement line, who is looking to retire in few years' time, I would give a very different advice. Okay, I'm also not a main breadwinner, so you have to understand that somebody who is a single parent, who is a main breadwinner, their scenarios will be very different. I'm just talking about the position I was in, how I thought myself after seeing what I have seen for over 10 years' time. I was in a position that I could speak up. So that's why I made that call. The objective was to tell everyone that things are not right. And I did that. So I was very happy. And it was for me like I have achieved my doctorate. At that time, I was doing my pre-doctoral level. And I said, the amount of letters I have written, actually, I can compile and write a thesis, and that could be my leadership doctorate. So I was very happy with that at that time and very proud of my achievement. Next slide, please. So what I didn't realize that what will come afterwards. So, it's very good when you're naive in the system and you have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm and you have support system. You feel that you know everything. But I think that's where it hit me hard, because the amount of energy it has drained in me in the process about 2 years' time. But also explaining everyone the trauma and justification, even though many people did not understand what I was speaking. Many people went against me, but there were also one or two people who have gone out of way to support me. I think that was very important for me. I was a band six, and I in a one organization I had a very similar experience, and I kept going to the managers, and didn't work out. Then I went to a senior consultant, and I told him what was happening. And they said that whenever things are not right, you need to keep on writing till you receive a response. And somebody in the system, in a leadership ladder, will be there who will see and find out, okay, something is wrong and they need to listen to you or do something. So I think I had that faith. So that's why I took that courage. I was honest with what I was saying. I was saying that I'm not perfect, but what is happening here is also not right. It has affected me this way and things like that. So I think it's more about, I was saying, it's very against the basic human right, and the way I'm getting treated is not right. So it's more about humanity rather than anything else. It's not about the post, it's not about the position. And the leadership I wasn't talking about the pay band, hierarchy, or job title, because what I saw, I wasn't impressed with that at all. And I'm not saying, this is not to say that people who are in the leadership power and position, everyone is like that. No, many people have gone beyond and helped me. But what I saw over a 10 years period, I think my way of looking at leadership wasn't something that somebody is sitting in a higher position or is higher pay band. So I'm just giving you my perspective. It has taken a lot of courage for me to do that, because consequences are going to be very hard. One of them is that you're going to lose finances and job. Second one is that very unlikely to find the job within the vicinity of the organization, because that will be influenced. Third thing was that there is a lot of formal complaint will start coming against you. There'll be a lot of rejections, and things were getting worse for me. And I think I could not take it beyond that. So this is why I think I had to take that courage. But I've also been to the tribunal, and what I saw there as well, I wasn't very confident that I would get a fair judgment. So I spent time going in the countries, different part of the, well, some of them were invited by the CSP network, but then I also spent personal time going in the court, sitting there, hearing, listening how evidence are seen and how evidence can be manipulated and twisted. And it's only the evidence which will play. It's not your emotions. It's not what you're saying. It's the evidence. And if you don't have that, and if that can be manipulated against you, then the judgment which I was looking for, I wasn't very happy and not confident that I would get that. Hence, I didn't go. So what I did was, at that time, was leaving the employment and then going to the highest authority I could imagine, which was, and they were very brilliant in looking into, listening to me, and not being judgmental at all. So they didn't come and tell me, oh, you were wrong, you said this things against you, we have got this and XYZ. No, I think it was a true leadership. They understood, I think, what I was saying. I think all they were trying to do was that reduce the barriers for me, And they also asked me what the solution. So I gave them the solution that this is what I want. I want Metro Fellowship. So I had a little bit of pot of money of my fellowship left. I said, I want to transfer to the new organization. And they were very happy in supporting me that. So I think that was wonderful. I'm truly grateful for everyone who has supported me. Okay. Next slide, please. So the message I wanted to give it to the senior leaders is that don't assume that you know everything. None of us know everything. Start assuming what people with the lived experiences are saying. There is a problem, and it takes a lot of courage to do that. Okay. And most of the leaders have to stop waiting for individual members of the staff to raise a concern. I'm sure everybody in the organization, in the department, including the HR and exec, knew what was happening because I have written and given them. So even if they're saying they don't know, that's not true because I have written and given them. I have given them the evidence. Okay. Individually, one can be powerful and can really make a difference, but it comes with the price. And the cost price is that you will be traumatized, exhausted, and often leave the job. Okay. So greater awareness of your own understanding of racism and oppression is important because if you could deliver so much benefit, if you are able to use that awareness and stop being defensive. So whenever things come up in the discrimination or racism, it's put down to, oh, it's come the way things are investigated, oh, it's put down to communication problem, personality issues, or you're too being too aggressive, or you're so it's always labeled, and it's always the individual who raised the concern becomes a problem rather than the issue itself. So I think it was very important for me to detach myself from my own beliefs and then provide an objective evidence. And I think it was very nice to see that somebody refreshing in the senior leadership actually listened to that and say, okay, there is a problem and we need to address it and we've got to stop it. Okay. Next slide. So what I saw in my department over the couple of years, and this is not just one organization, I saw people getting promoted without interviews, but there was something going on that was allowing that promotions, okay, to go on without interviews. You can't quite put finger on it because the way it was prepared in such a way that I couldn't objectively find a fault there to go and raise concern. So you start thinking you must be paranoid. And the common thing came out of was that little called microaggression. I think I learned microaggression very late in my career, probably I think in 2020 after COVID-19. Okay. Next slide, please. Then I learned that I have been excluded from the specialist training emails despite doing clinics with the specialist consultants, exclusion from the CPD courses, exclusion from seeing the patients referred by the consultant to me. So patients getting cross out. So consultant was referring a patient to be seen by me because they were complex patient. I had those skills, but then somebody in the middle was crossing out and changing that referral pathway. Okay. And then not giving the patients to complete the dissertation despite having the funding from that organization to do the MSc. Okay. And then not giving the patients to be recruited for the clinical trial despite having funding, and it's a national clinical trial, which means we are doing a research to find out what is the best intervention, which will eventually go and become the guideline or policy making. Next slide. So again, common things like not supporting the business case for career progression, despite having a research grant, not giving the time and opportunity. So I had to apply for external grant and develop myself that way, which is fine because then I learned the extended skills which my colleagues didn't know, which is grant writing, and have been successful in fundraisings a couple of times to develop the new services, and then have managed to do international fellowship. So it actually helped me speaking up in a way upon reflection. I may not have got everything which I wanted from the journey, but I think some of the things went in my favor in terms of developing skills. Um, then completed research projects, organized courses and stuff like that. And despite presenting to the exec board a research proposal, getting the grant and getting promoted within the same organization, working with a specialist consultant, I was still discriminated in one of the band 8A interviews of the same organization. So then I left the organization and moved to the next one for the higher pay band. Next slide, please. Then I think this transpired about a few years ago. I think this has happened a couple of times. Band 8B fixed term was advertised, given via the email to someone, then again advertised Band 8B. This time it was only for the specific individual, advertised for a certain period of time. And of course, HR would have been involved and finance would have been involved because business case happens with the support of various organizations and things like that. So I wasn't very happy because the person who was made for this job was very violent towards me and I was being targeted. But more importantly, I was very happy that anybody who comes with a competitive process is fine because then we will develop, patient safety wouldn't be an issue. But that was not the case in the department. Alongside what was happening, because I think the department and the managers and people have learned that I'm raising the concerns. And by then, I have given things in writing to the higher senior leaders in the organization. There were certain things started happening like fake patient complaints, fake HR process against me. I was excluded from my patient's notes, which are going to the court and things like that, which is a legal document. Next slide, please. Then one of my senior colleague physiotherapist called and shouted via the phone, and then he put somebody else on the phone. So it was like I couldn't say anything because as a witness, if I respond back, they will record and that can be used against me. But then I couldn't speak to anyone about it because I didn't have the evidence. So when I went, why I didn't go to tribunal is that how will you bring the evidence when you have spoken and you don't have the recording? So these things happened. It affected you mentally, psychologically, and it destroyed your confidence. But then there is no evidence. And even if you provide the evidence, there's other person on the line who can deny that completely, even though you know what the truth is. Okay. So this is how we are talking about preventing harm. So your harm happened at the psychological level, not only the mental and physical level. Then, of course, it went on exclusion from the training and development, then not supporting the already agreed appraisal objectives, not supporting the fellowship, despite me significantly fundraising for getting the equipments, getting the grants, getting the research projects. And then deliberately, I started to learn that people were sending from my department false emails or false information about me to other colleagues, external colleagues, which were like training hubs, university, clinical trial units, other department colleagues, and things like that. And I could see that you are getting targeted. And I think this is where it has impacted me a lot. And other common thing I've observed over a period of time is that when they know that you are at a certain pay band level, they deliberately write your low job title like a specialist physiotherapy or senior physiotherapist. So I was working at advanced physiotherapy practitioner, whole department new, but still, certain places and in the trust news, they have put my research grant saying, oh, we are great that Jayanti has got research grant. She's a senior physiotherapist and things like that. And without my consent, they have taken the information from a fellowship application and put the trust news. And I think these things made me very angry because I could see that I was being targeted and somebody is deliberately trying to destroy me. Next slide, please. So, as I said, other departments started getting involved, which means false information from my department started going to different departments, external and internal colleagues. And this was mainly to get a reaction from me, whether positive, negative, or any kind of reaction or angry reaction, and then use it against me in the future or probably same time for any kind of HR process. So when we talk about the evidence, they will not see that it was gaslighted email sent to you. It will be sent, your reaction will be sent as that you are not following the policy and procedures. Okay. Next slide, please. So this was a really serious leadership issues, and I have gone to the highest person in the organization, and I have also gone above the organization, and things were still not getting better. So the normal things which happen, gaslighting, delaying tactics, and things like that was already happening simultaneously. What I've also learned is that senior colleagues use the junior colleagues. So like managers were using the senior colleagues like consultant physio or clinical lead to send the gaslighting emails or cause the harm. So whoever is a root cause will never got caught. Directors were using managers, and managers were using admin staff. Sometimes execs were using the directors, deliberately providing the false information to get a reaction. And one of the thing was that how I found out is that one of my family member passed away in this process, and I have informed one of the exec that I'm sorry, I'm unable to come. X and XY has passed away, so I'm going to other country where my family is. And that information was manipulated and sent to the director, and the director emailed me, oh, I'm sorry to hear that your family member is not well, and I hope he recover well and happy and healthy and playing well with you, and these things like that. And that made me really angry. So I think I reacted at that time, but upon reflection, I think it made me realize that where that information was manipulated. So these things sometimes you don't understand and learn at that time. When you reflect and when the whole information of the file comes to you to see what has happened, that's the time you understand how the games have been played. Okay. And of course, some places the consultant use managers or secretaries to cause the reputational damage or get a reaction and things like that. So the person who is writing the email, you may not understand why they're doing, and you often think that person is a source, but it's often not the case. And that takes very long time, and for you to really understand, and this is where your inner sixth sense will tell you when something is right or wrong. Okay. Next slide, please. So what happens is that when you speak up, there's a whole system against you, and you have to understand that these things will happen: victimization, which is marginalization, defensive denial. Everyone will say no. Even if you say this is happening, they will say no, it's not happening. So you will be kind of questioning your own identity and what you're saying. You'll be gaslighted constantly, excluded. Speaking of victimization will happen, and senior leaders will provoke others, planting false stories to cause harm. Next slide. Happens in the research and clinical trial as well. Same process, nothing new. Research is not different from the clinical setting. Very much the same things, planting the stories, and sometimes these serious harms never get reported, like protocol deviations or denial or research waste, or serious harms are never get reported. Okay, next slide, please. So what happens is that, I don't know if you can see that, it's really small font, so I apologize for that. Something called DARVO, and I've learned it in the process, is called deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. So when you know you are a minority and if you're speaking up, what they try to do is they get together and then try to make you feel and question your own identity. They will use that information, deny that whatever you're saying is wrong, use against you to attack you, and then they will try to say that, okay, they are the victim, but you are the main person who is causing the problem. Okay. Alongside, as I said, gaslighting, mobbing, shunning, devaluing, the whatever you can think of, black labeling, all these things will be going on, and you will not learn. And I think what all this will do is that emotional and physical violence to you. And I think the trauma you go through is a lot. I think you will not realize until unless you sit down, exclude everything, have some time for yourself, and then start writing down what is happening. So it took a very long time for me to understand. Next slide, please. When you speak up, remember, evidence of burden lies on you. Okay, so you have to prove that whatever you're saying is right, and you have to understand that everyone is, most of the time, when it is racism, discrimination, is try to tone down, and people are going to be against you. Okay, so you have to make sure that you always say that somebody is being treated fairer than you, and you have been treated less favorable than them. They have been given more opportunity, you have been given less opportunity. So you have to have the background and context. You have to understand and explain overt and covert racism. So overt means you'll have the answers, you will have the evidence. Covert, it has to be contextualized. You'll have to write a story and say how it impacted you. Okay. There'll be always bias, conscious and unconscious. And bias If it's a conscious, which means like a job description, and if it's a job advert, you can show it. But if it's unconscious, you're unfavorably treated, objectively you have to find an evidence, something written. It can't be just saying that, oh, manager was very good to other person but not to me, or X was very good to other person, not to me. That doesn't work. Okay. And detriments of whistleblowing or speaking up is going to happen. Next slide, please. So it affects your all systems. Don't underestimate the importance of impact on you. Most importantly, it takes very long time for me to understand what is happening to my body and mind. It affects your breathing. You'll have palpitation, you'll have rage, you'll have anger, you'll have frustration, and you'll have your own belief that everyone is against you, and you may develop a reactional psychology. So I think it's very important that you tell someone what you're going through, have some counseling sessions, or have some best friend to tell that, okay, what you're going through is normal, it's not abnormal. And it just takes some time to process that. You have to detach yourself from that environment. And most importantly, I think it's emotional, and the nervous system will get affected. So in my case, like, I had put on a lot of weight, I was constantly angry, I was getting flashbacks, I was getting a lot of sleep problems and things like that. Okay, next slide, please. As I said, all these things, and of course, I have developed the PTSD, but some people go on having the substance misuse, which is alcohol, drugs. Some people develop suicidal tendencies. It is difficult to be normal because your focus and concentration has changed. You're constantly in a hypervigilant state. Even sometimes in normal things, you're constantly looking into, is it normal or abnormal, because you have gone through so much. And of course, psychological well-being will get impacted. Anxiety, depression, grief, and loss. And I think one of the most important thing to understand is that you are isolated and lonely, and it's okay to be that when it happens. But when you are in that process, I think it doesn't feel okay, it doesn't feel normal, and most of the time you are angry about that. So I think it's important to understand it's okay to be alone, because it's your act, your karma, what you're going through, and you'll be fine. You will be repaired after some time, but just give yourself time. Next slide, please. So it doesn't affect your just you. So I think what the important message I want to give you is that whatever somebody writes email to you, and if it doesn't feel right, don't reply, don't respond, don't react. Keep a copy of everything. Don't tell to anyone that you have got a copies. Don't tell to anyone what is happening, because you're not sure, you're not understanding at that time what is happening. So I think having the evidence of all the email, WhatsApp messages can be used in the court as well, or any notes if you have. So have a copy of it, and you will continue to suffer the aftermaths, because you will question your own identity. You have gone through the trauma, like I have lost the job and finance and everything. So all these things will happen, and it's okay, you'll be fine, because you have got the skills, you can grow up again. Okay. And then it impacts your family and friends. It's very important if you have got young children, especially children, I'm saying, because they're very honest, to tell them that if they observe any difference in your behavior, the way you're talking, the tone, the appearance, to give them the feedback. Because I was getting from my child for a long time, but I kept ignoring it because what they know. But then I realized that I have become very aggressive. I was talking very fast, and I think my whole behavior and personality was changing. So I think it's very important to tell your family members, your close friends, if you trust them out of work, what is happening. Don't do that at work, do it out of work, and tell them to help you to understand what is going on, if something changed they notice, and things like that. But also have more social time during that time, rather than thinking about work. Okay. Next slide, please. So the recovery is not going to be easy. You need a special attention and special time. The reason why, because we are in the day and stage that things may not happen in a same instant or extent or intensity. But the truth is that the society and the system and the organizations are built in such a way that you're going to meet these leaders who are always in a hierarchy position, and they are from a different race. So it's likely that you may experience again, but also you have your own fear and beliefs now. Your own worldview has changed. Okay. The psychological support, often what we have in the system, whether it is a workplace or whether it is NHS or whether it is outside of the NHS, is very limited. So counseling, for example, it didn't work for me, so I had to go out for the therapies. Okay, so that's where the family and friends can be more helpful. More focus on the inner well-being, so more going inward. And what that I mean is that understanding what is happening to you, and that takes a lot of practice. Finding some time, spending some time with you alone, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour is more important. In my practice, I think for me, writing helped me to clarify my thoughts and take out my anger. But then I also did meditation courses and yoga and some spiritual journey I had to go through. The one thing will be impacted is your physical and mental health. So I think keep it basic, really focus on the routine, have a set routine, which means sleep on the same time, get up on the same time, try to have meals most of the day same time. I know it sounds very basic, but when it happens to you, you'll feel that the days sometimes you don't want to get up, sometimes you don't want to do the things. So I think it's very important to have that routine, very important to look after yourself. And just because you have experienced something traumatic in your life for a couple of years doesn't mean that life is going to be a different. It doesn't mean that everyone in the world is against you. But I think when you are in that phase, it does feel like that for a long, long time. So as I said, write whatever you feeling. I don't know, it maybe one day it can publish, one day it can be a book, but don't let others talk your story. You create your own story and you own it. Next slide, please. And these are the books I found really helpful. So as I said, the life is really beautiful, and I'm really grateful to all of you to listening to me. I don't think I would have done anything without the support of the CSP BAME network and the leadership. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone goes through whatever they're going through. At the end, life is beautiful for everyone. Okay, majority of the people are very good in the world, and give yourself time to heal and growth. And the biggest difference for me was to understanding who I am, what my purpose of life is. I think I really like Deepak Chopra's video podcast and his book. One of them is a deeper wounds, and another one is the healing self. I also read Dare to Lead, Brené Brown. She's a great leader, and I think it's great to have these kind of resources when you're feeling low and go through them. And the final slide, I'm hoping. Just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone for listening to me, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have.